This was probably the most difficult podcast I've ever done, and I've actually had to get myself up for it. It was a form of therapy, and I don't know whether I feel good or bad after talking about it. I say it's good to talk, but from recounting the memory, the hurt is still raw, the cut is still open, to be honest. I want to forget the key incident of the day, because this podcast is not a look back and a revisitation of the traumatic event itself, but is an investigation of the impact of that day. Yesterday, the 11th of July 2020, marked the 10-year anniversary of 2010, the Leinster final, the Joe Sheridan earthquake, and this is episode 104 of the Loud and Proud podcast. But first, here's a shortened intro. JPs Goal. That beautiful goal. Having researched in this podcast and kind of storing the memory pot, I watched the goal over and over and over and over again. I know it would have been on my intro for a lot of the time, for every season, I suppose, every episode. JP's goal, and it was that's one impact of the day. That's the first impact I'm going into, and that is that goal is buried forever. It's never really spoken about. It should be national. It should be a defining moment in football, in outside of football. It was such a class goal, and having watched it over and over and over, it's a thing of beauty. Even he gets the ball. Even what's mad is watching the thing over. Paddy Keenan has the ball from the free kick, and Adrian Reid is fouled. Paddy Keenan has it. The camera cuts, and then Mark Brennan has the ball, and he sends a high ball into the mixer, as Mark would say himself. And Brian White's inside with JP. I actually could sense it at that moment. I could sense it. There was a goal in us at that time, 62nd minute. We were right in the game. We were level, and I thought, right, we have a goal in us. We're going to get a goal. We're going to win this game. It's so tight with 10 minutes to go. A little less than 10 minutes to go. We're going to win it. Mark sends the ball in, quick thinking, just kind of catch them off the cuff. The ball breaks lovely off the left full's back. I can't think of his name. Wasn't Owen Harrington? Maybe it was Owen Harrington, because O'Connor's too small. Yeah, it was Harrington. Owen Harrington, the Wolf Tones man. Drops, JP grabs it, and he doesn't just go straight away. He actually gives a little bit of a show and tell to the defender to draw him even more space. Then he opens his whole body up and just curls it into the top corner. It was just magic, absolutely magic. And that is the first impact of this. JP's goal is not recognised, and probably JP is not recognised nationally as the star forward that he was for Louth. Like, even when he burst on the scene in the late 90s, even that year we won the league, we beaten Offaly, he was unreal. Like, so exciting. Probably one of the only players I remember when he got the ball. It was really exciting. So that's buried. So why am I doing this? I suppose it's something I had a chat with Stephen White. That's coming out next week, 2-parter. And it triggered with me. This is what Stephen had to say about this impact.
I think, and I know it's been said before, I think it drove Louth football back 10 years.
So actually, I'm going to disagree with Stephen. I think we're actually still in the midst of a days. I think it set us back about 25 years. 2 generations have to come through it. Probably one has gone through it. So a quarter of a century has really been lost in Louth football after what happened in that game. I'll go through them all now. Like any good therapy session, you kind of have to go back to the actual moment of when this affliction happened. So let's join Ger Canning and Martin Carney, the co-commentator on RT that day, to the exact moment before we go any further. Which actually, on the day I was the other end of the field, and I only heard through hearsay from people around the crowd what actually happens. So let's hear from Ger and Martin.
Cross here once again, fished it out somehow, only as far as Graham Riley. We're now in the 4th minute. It's high up into the clouds. It's in towards Joe Sheridan. It's stopped on the line somehow. Seamus Kenny had the chance, and it's in can see Aaron Hoey in there saying, talk to the umpires. Dramatic last few seconds here.
My God, that's dramatic.
What happens?
It's a goal.
The goal has been given and Meath are in front. And Meath are about to win in the most amazing circumstances. Heartbreak for Louth. This is where they thought they had done their bit of defending, but somehow it was put in over the line. Well, was it kicked in over the line?
It was thrown over the line, more or less. The first situation, Seamus Kenny fielded the ball in the square. Should have been a free, I think, for a square ball. Secondly, Joe Sheridan, I think, threw the ball over the line, or fell over the line with the ball.
You cannot be allowed. Cannot do that. But the goal was given, and Louth will be heartbroken after all this time.
That is daylight robbery.
Victory snatched from their grasp. There's a yellow card there for Aaron Hoey for his protestations, but it doesn't matter.
Well, I thought in the first instance that they wing forward. Credit him, Seamus Kenny was in the...
It's all over. Meath have snatched this game. A case of daylight robbery because Louth had it.
Yeah, that was hard. That's hard to listen to, isn't it? That is really hard to listen to. Like, even the supporters coming on at the end. But look, I'm not here to talk about that. That's different. I will get to that, but it was just a killer, and I'm not. The impact of that will start with the youth development, like to actually miss out on bringing the schools around, bringing the cup around the schools, to bring it around the summer camps that summer, to boost the interest of the parents, to boost every club. We lost all that. I feel it turned people away. It stopped people getting enjoyment out of it. It was such a dampener, such a sickener on people to feel what they felt. Just so hard, and I just find that you can see now in our development squads and our underage that we're only kind of slowly getting back to normality now, and because it's a reference point for all those youth players, all those young players, that they'll all remember is that 2010 game and when Louth get better. I suppose my reference point would be that 91 game against Kildare, we beat them, or maybe the row as well. But really good memories. Like I know they have the Louth and Kildare 2010 game themselves, but this overshadows it. And so the only Leinster final in their lifetime and in my lifetime was the absolute big negative national argument and bloody Joe Duffy kind of memorandum about it. So that's nearly the first impact, the youth development, and you can see now it's showing. Like we got the one under-21 final in decades, and minors have been slowly on the decline this past few years. Since that, I know we had a really good team to get to the Dublin final. That's the Dublin final 2016 was it? It was a complete anomaly, because we haven't got any, like some years we haven't won games at minor. And even you see Wicklow beating us last year and Carlow under 20 and all that. So it just shows that slide has kind of been impacted from that, in terms of enthusiasm and getting coaches involved and getting players to play for the county. But also we lost a chance in that goal to analyse it. Like when Roy Keane said after Thierry Henry's goal, like, why didn't we clear it? Let's hear from Roy.
Well, I've been amazed at the commotion that's been going on for the last few days. I think around about Henry's handball, yeah, of course you handle it, but I'd focus on why didn't they clear it. I'd be more annoyed with my defenders and my goalkeeper than Thierry Henry. How can you leave a ball bounce in the 6-yard box?
Thanks, Roy. Thanks for that. Like, looking at the game, it's easy now to look over and think, oh yeah, the game we lost, oh poor us, we lost to Meath. But we should have tagged on points at the end, like Roy said. We should have had the discipline to hang on. Even the mix-up with Desi and Andy on the line, if you look back. We should have seen the game out, no doubt about that. They get overlooked and they don't get properly analysed because of everyone just jumps on the actual incident. So that's a kind of big, massive impact on taking away from us. It's not like 2002 we got robbed, but that was of our own doing, or it was manageable. You could understand it, but this was like something that took away from the actual analysis of the game. You notice that as well. You talk to real good football men and women. They come up to me to know who I am or whatever with Loud and Proud, and they'll say, "Oh, hard luck in the final." And a really good football man or woman would say, "But it was awful, but you actually blew it." And there you can tell, oh yeah, that's someone who has their head switched on and actually analysed the game. And because we didn't score the last 10 minutes of the game, we didn't slow the game down enough. We lost men on the last few minutes of it as well. So that's another impact where you take away the actual football analysis and an opportunity to learn from it, and instead we just have that excuse, and it gives all kind of supporters and everyone that easy out to not look at ourselves and shy away from it. And then the next impact, we don't properly get to honour that side. Like, that was our best ever team. End of. It beats any Louth team ever. The 57 team, the team in the 90s, no question. It had balance, it had power, it had a ton of skill, tight markers, it had tough players, and loads of scoring power. Jesus, we'd only die for the scoring power it have. Let's go through it, right? So you have Gally, who was ahead of his time, really good soccer goalie, really good command and presence in the goals. Soccer career, and then played Gaelic, former outfielder as well. Paddy Keane is the best midfielder we've ever had. John O'Brien is arguably our best man marker we've ever had. And then you look at the balance of that forward line I already mentioned, like Adrian, Mark Brennan, Andy McDonald, JP, Leno and Judge, those three boys inside it. That was some power of scoring, and then workman-like ability as well in the half forward line with a bit of a maverick there, Micah and JP. And then like Darren Clark couldn't get into the side, Derek Mcguire couldn't get into the side, Derek Crilly couldn't get in the side. All really solid players. And then what I feel sorry for the lads is that, similar, like you look at the Ireland teams, the soccer teams of the 90s and the 94 players, like the likes of Ronnie Whelan and Ray Howard, they're all living off that. Even Andy Townsend or Packy Bonner, they're all living off those tournaments. And it should be the same for these boys. It really should. All those starting 15 and more, and even Fitzer. And I know Paddy Keenan got his All-Star. Jobser got his nomination, his All-Star nomination. Eamon McGauley actually got man of the match from the final. But like Aaron O'Heye, it would have been great for Aaron O'Heye to get the reward for all the years of service. Like, he spanned 3 decades with Louth. And then you have like the young guns like Derek Mcguire, Decky and Andy coming through off that team. And there's someone else, I suppose JP's service as well. But like, there should have been doctrine and the shine allowed football forever, but that Joe Sheridan incident just takes away from it, and that's possibly the biggest impact taken away from the game. Like, you don't have that sort of byline, or you look at a lad and think, like, say, like, I'll put it to my son.
Look, Dad, Neil Gallagher.
What Michal was trying to say was, look, Dad, there's Neil Gallagher, the goalie in the 2010 team. There's Ray Finnegan. He was some player. Brian White kicked some points in that run. He was some player as well. Look at Andy McDonald. He's still going. He was on that 2010 team. And what you have is now it's, oh, look, there's Adrian Reid. He played for Louth. It's not Adrian Reid. He's a Leinster winner. It's not. These boys aren't. They're not put on a pedestal because of that bloody malaise at the end, and that's awful. Because they should be. I know they'll always have it that they were on the field, on the day they played the Leinster final, they kicked points in the Leinster final, they banged in goals, but that was been taken away from them. Like, these boys should be dining out on it. They should be living their career off it. It should be Paddy Keenan, Leinster champion, and that is the real heartache. I know there's loads of bitterness in this podcast, but that's the real heartache that these lads have been that has been taken away from the lads forever, and they'll always have the extra stink of the bloody what actually happened then. So that's one of the massive impacts I feel, and it's a pity, a real pity, because like I said, it was our best team ever, and it was a combination of an awful lot of things. Eamon McEnany's work, lads starting out under Val Andrews and learning their craft and honing their abilities, and crescendo with Fitzer coming in, that bit of looseness and going on a great run, and they don't have that little kind of rubber stamp of Leinster champion underneath their name, and that's bloody so annoying. I suppose another impact would be the county board. Like, they didn't shine any glory in the aftermath, and I suppose that's where I believe the apathy began. And I suppose ironically, the manager Fitzer on the day has now led to that clear out. Because you look back on the actual figures and the reporting of it. 4 days later, we decided as a county board, the 15th of July, that we weren't. That was it. And then on top of that, you think they would have like arm wrestled. Like, even John Delaney got money out of FIFA for what happened, the scandal. Like, we could have twisted the GA president Cooney's arm, or into even giving us a load of money to get a new stadium, or look after us in the future and really look after us. So then that impacts the stadium, which hasn't been built, or which has been talked about for 10 years. I know that was a complicated issue as well with DKIT at the time, the O'Reilly's since that, and now since that we have this stadium coming up at the moment. So that's another impact there as well. No stadium because of it. Then you look at the economics of it all. Did it pull people away from the GAA in terms of money and backers? They didn't want to get involved with it. They kind of left it, stay away from that. Just, it's not worth getting involved there. And then you look at another impact. I feel it was actually one of the lowest attended Leinster finals, probably because with Dublin not in it. But there was 48,875 people attended the game. And I remember at the time, or reported at the time, there was 25,000 Louth fans at it, which was like massive. When you think of Louth's population now is 126,000. So that's what, one in five people from Louth are at the game. Those bandwagon people that jumped on were lost forever in that day. And I was chatting to Nicholas Butterley, and we were WhatsApping as well, and he said, like, never mind the bandwagon people that never came back. There's some diehards never went back, and that's hard to take as well, because all those people were forced away. And imagine you won all those bandwagon jumpers, like much like you see Ireland doing well in the rugby. They're all into the rugby at the moment, and they jump on board, and there's money in it. We lost out all on all of that. And like I say, we're still in the days where we're slowly but surely finding our feet and getting to it. So that's another thing as well. That's a bit of a sickener. And what's also a sickener is you have neutrals as well, just lumping sympathy on you. Like, it's just, it's so annoying. Oh, poor lad, I shouldn't have. Oh, and then people bring it up, it's probably the first thing they bring up. That's the most social impact of it all. It's the first thing to bring it up. Probably bring it up with the players as well. I can only imagine how hard it is for the players. Oh, in 2010, that's why I was talking to Paddy Keenan on that podcast with Loud GA. I wouldn't bring it up with Paddy. Like, what do you say? What do you want to get on with? You've seen that in the Sunday game with Fitzer and Joe Sheridan. What do you have to say from him? Like, we've nothing to benefit from talking about it. Like, it's done. We can't get on. We have to get on with it. But I suppose with this podcast, I am talking about it, and I'm getting it out there, and I'm kind of, this is the therapy session. So welcome to the therapy session. And then on top of that is, right, when the goal went in, I looked at my father as well, and I thought, oh no, this typical Louth, just like 2010, because I couldn't see exactly what happened. And that just adds to Louth's kind of this sort of inferiority product. And you'll see it at county board meetings on the floor, even Asher, why would we bother? We're only Louth. Why us? And then you think, oh, why was it bloody us when that goal went in? Like, it just adds to it, and it just makes you think, oh yeah, these things are supposed to happen to Louth. Like, these are preordained, and then you have this sort of feeling. Like, you look at even the Limerick hurlers, they they were stunned in 94. They were about to win, and they were I think awfully kicked hurled 2-4 in the last few minutes to win by 4 points. And come their All Ireland victory a couple of years ago, 2017, then the last few minutes they thought they were going to be gone as well. It took them that long to bury it, and even when they were burying it, it was in the backs of their minds. So that's also impacted on Louth players, Louth underage, Louth people. This inferiority product that is dumped on top of you. You feel that weight of, oh, this is Louth. This is supposed to happen to us, and it's very hard to shake that. We haven't really shaken it. Say a couple of good league teams under Colin Kelly, we might have went up, but still in the back of your mind, you're expecting bad things to happen to us. I don't personally feel that, but you can just sense it. I would be looking for the optimism in it at all. And then I caught up with Derek Mcguire, and Derek gives his thoughts on it as well. It's interesting as well from an actual player's perspective.
I was just thinking, like, right, so if Louth had have won that game, what difference would that have made going forward? So I thought for Louth, for the first time in 50 years, getting to a Leinster final and playing in a Leinster final, and for all the controversy that surrounded it, it got even more of a hype than probably any other game for 10 years, probably, I'd say. Or most other games. It would definitely be in the top 3 games of the decade, you know. So I thought maybe that enough should be enough to, like, push on young fellas wanting to play for Louth. Like, you're after your senior county boys playing in a Leinster final. They should have won it. They probably morally they won it, like, or legally they won it. You know what I mean? So, do I think it really put Louth football back? Do I think we would have bet Carlow the year after if we had won the Leinster? I don't think so. Do I still think the lads would have all left the panel? The likes of John O'Brien, yeah, they would have. Because I think they would have been happy enough to say, all right, I have a Leinster medal in my pocket here. I'm still going to leave. So I don't know if in my opinion, if it really put Louth football back. Would we still have bet Dublin any other time to win another Leinster with the team they had? Realistically, probably the answer is no. You know, so if people say that it put Louth football back, I don't know, did it?
Yeah, I have a few theories on it. Yeah,
I don't mean to be quite negative on that answer and say like it would have been the exact same. But like, would having a Leinster medal in your pocket have made you play any better the year after against Carlow?
Yeah, no, it maybe, I don't know. See, the way I look at it is it's nearly off the field in terms of confidence, and a lot of neutrals turned up that day and haven't come back, and people who want to put money into Louth, and even diehards that haven't come back after that game, and then, you know, kind of turn people off the GAA as well. Okay. That's the way I'm looking at it now. But that's why I asked your opinion. You're fucking there.
I don't think it would have pushed anybody maybe away from Louth. I think it would have pushed people away from the GAA more than Louth, because there was so much injustice done by the GAA, because they put the onus on me to make a decision for a replay when they should have made the decision themselves. So yeah, I get that, where it would have pushed people off the GAA, and probably that would have had an effect on Louth. Yeah, maybe that's the way to look at it. Yeah, in that sense. But in terms of the team itself, I don't think it made much of a difference, because it nearly made us want to go even more than the next year. You know, if anything.
Right. Yeah, so that's interesting. So 2011, he's talking about from a pure player's point of view, in that camp, in that zone, in that time, and he's on about 2011. But like I said to him there, it's about impact off the field. But you never know. Like, would those lads have walked away? They might feel it's very hard to walk away now being a Leinster champion. But then, like he said, like, Whiteside walks away with a Leinster medal in his back pocket, and he might never come back again. Maybe there's more hunger there to win more. Maybe there's more hunger to chase that feeling again rather than walk away from it. And maybe there's more competition in the side. Maybe there's more people want to get interested and have a bit of that. So it's hard to know. there's also the thing as well, like 10 years on, and we're still in the cusp. We're in the cusp of Division 4 for the second time in 10 years. We went down a couple of years ago. I know we won it, but like that just shows the long-term effect of it. That we struggled, we haven't got back. I know we did go up to Division 2 for a period after 2011, 2012 we're in Division 2. But yeah, here we are in 2020, and we're all but down, and another 2 games have to be played. But yeah, so that's the long term impact on it. Even 2011 was we had a bit of a terrible decade. Like the 2011 game against Carlow was off, but then Meath hammering us, and then we chug along. Then under Aidan O'Rourke, we're very close as well with that Wexford game. And then Meath beat us a couple of years in a row, and then like we just get hammered by Dublin, as well. So yeah, that's a really tough impact to take. And then the sludding as well. Anytime a referee or anything is attacked or brought up, sludding is always spoken about, and that's hard to take for as a Louth fan or a proud Louth fan, because we're not like that. That was just a one-off, and it's ridiculous him still being on the field trying to push his authority, putting out cards, and it hasn't really affected him. Maybe it's boosted his status because he's become vice chairman in Tyrone. It's just remarkable, really, like to do that. What he's going on to do. And maybe one positive impact on it was that I think they had to pick their own umpire, or neutral umpires had to come in. I know it took a long time coming. It only came in 2 years. But like that with the referee stories, like the other impact is like Sean Boylan's story. I'm sorry, but I just think that's just pure horse manure. He was no more assaulted physically than Jim Core played the drums at halftime in the field for halftime entertainment. Like if you did assault Sean Boylan on the day, contact me, because as far as I'm concerned, it's pure fantasy. Let's pick the nicest man ever for me, the winner, a champion in their eyes, and let's pretend he was assaulted to twist the narrative even further on the horrible Louth fans. If anything did happen, he probably got a mouthful of abuse. And even if you had witnessed that attack, DM me, because I've not heard a person see it or believe it from Louth, and I think that's unfair. We're stuck with that. Actually, a funny one from the game. I was with my father at the game. I could have went with my then girlfriend, who actually is from Meath. Yeah, can you believe it? We still survived it. But she had a corporate box that day. It was her first time in Croke Park. Oh no, I was going to say her last, but no, she was at the 2011 league final the following year. Skint. But yeah, and she couldn't get over that I didn't want to go to the corporate box. I said, no, I'm going to have to go with my dad for years and years and years. So I'm going to go with him and stay with him. So we're on the 21-yard line, Lower Hogan, near the hill. And perfect viewing point for JPs Goal, actually. That side, just the ball, the arc, everything. And so the game's over, and we're surrounded by Louth people. We're in a Louth section, and we're all in shock. Like, we're all just standing there talking and whispering nearly and consoling each other like we're about to board the bloody train to Auschwitz or something. When out of nowhere, this Meath clown comes down roaring, and he's actually like, we actually didn't even have to roar. It was so quiet. And anyway, he's openly jeering us and sneering us and rubbing it in our face and really going for it. Like when you're a child in front of the PlayStation to your brother or your friends or whatever. And he's on the steps, and I'm one seat in from the steps, and my dad is right beside him on the steps. And in that moment, I just snap, and I make a jump to go for him. Go for your man, the Meath gobshite. And my father holds me back. And then a split second later, my father snaps, and I ended up holding him back. It's actually hilarious now when I think of it. But in the end, some lad from Dundalk sorted him out, gave him a few slaps, and a few deserved slaps, if you ask me. And I'd love to know who that was. Kind of familiar face. And whoever you are, thank you, and do get in touch. And what was mad was, I still remember it, the Meath lad, he just looked disbelief on his face after it happened. Like why would I get a slap for roaring in the faces of of people who lost the game and jeering openly in their faces. Like, why? So that never happens. That never gets mentioned in all this. Like, so just want to put that to bed. That's one of the impacts as well. Also, as well, a lovely reference point would have been we would have been the last team before this Dublin juggernaut takes off, and that never gets mentioned. So we miss out on that opportunity as well. That end of an era where we inspire other counties like to commit and go on a journey. The dream was squashed not only for us but for other GA outsiders searching for the crumbs of this Dublin juggernaut. And it was the end of an era. Even it was Jim McGuinness came in 2011 and changed the whole style of football and the way football was played. You have even the jersey, beautiful as it was, it'll always remind me of that day. It'll take away from it. And then you have you just think of that girl I have on the sleeve. I don't know who that girl is. She should get in touch with me as well. And then Joanne Clark, that's the lady with the head down, Jack Clark's daughter. She's in the GA Museum, working there, high up job curator, I think. So she's there. It's that sort of sympathy, and that's just what everyone remembers from that. It's not 1957. It's just that sad, sad, sad day where it should have been a thing of beauty, but it wasn't. So that's a lot. That's all the impact. That's the impact on it. It was a beautiful summer. It was a hell of a journey. Fell in love, and even I won a championship that year as well. And it's like it should be fucking joy looking back at 2010, not this pain. I know we got some retribution when Jim smashed that ball against Joe in the net that day. I think it was the Important Cup, was it? And we relegated them to the league in Easter Sunday. And we've had a bit of a hex in them too. Like everyone who lobs that patronising sympathy on us lobs a grenade of hate upon me and haven't done that well nationally since. So that's it. That's the impact. 10 years on, we're still in the days. We will get out of it. I suppose we can bury this now, put a line under it. Hopefully we can try and put a line under it and look forward to a new stadium, new players, new reference points, new heroes, and hopefully the heartache of all those lads will be not in vain. The starting team that day: Neil Gallagher, Ian McGauley, Desi Finnegan, John O'Brien, Ray Finnegan, Mick Fanning, Ronan Green, Paddy Keenan, Brian White, Andy McDonald, Mark Brennan, Adrian Reid, Colin Judge, Shane Lennon, JP Rooney, subs Stephen Fitzpatrick, Aaron High, Pepe Smith, Decky Bourne, Derek Mcguire, Craig Lynch. So yeah, okay. Maybe I do feel a little bit better getting this all out. Thanks very much for listening to the Loud and Proud podcast. If you want to get something off your chest or go into therapy with me, send me on. But thanks for coming to the session with me. I'm going to leave you with a taste of next week's episode with Stephen White. So we'll end on that bit of a positive note.
Probably a bit of a surprise, but sure, it's good to be recognised. I think it gives other counties that they're actually doing something with it. And like, look, with the other people that's there, our early medals, kind of Ulster medals and blah 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 coming out of their back pockets. I have none of them. Okay, I have my Ulster medal, but you've just the experience and playing at the top level for quite a number of years. I was lucky to do it, and I'm honoured to do it. So those are it's a slight different emphasis on that for me as an individual. Rather than the normal run the mill fella that is, you're coming up against Darrell Kinnaid and Stevie McDonald and Owen Kelly. These boys that have been there, done it, played on the All Ireland days and won medals and Ulster medals or whatever. So it's nice to be recognised.
That's it. See you again with Stefan next Sunday night.
I actually have it.